This title is presented to you by Soundlibra.com. For more audiobooks like this, click the link in the description or visit our website at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Master Your Time, Reclaim Hours That Matter. Today, we explore why time slips away.
It really is, Alex. And before we jump into the heart of things, just a quick heads up to our listeners. While we're sharing strategies to help you manage your day, this is for educational purposes and isn't professional or legal advice.
That's an important point. Now, in this first episode, the foundation, why we lose time, we're going to get to the heart of why it often feels like time just slips through our fingers. We all get the same 24 hours. Some accomplish much more while others feel rushed. Where does that difference come from?
That's the question. For many, it's not about having less time, but about how we're using it. We get caught up in the daily whirlwind and lose sight of what's truly important.
Precisely. The feeling of being overwhelmed is a signal that something needs to change. Mastering your time starts with understanding why you're losing it.
So, Alex, what are the most common culprits behind this time drain? Help us identify what we might be doing wrong.
One of the biggest enemies is the illusion of productivity. We're busy, yes, but are we busy doing the right things? We often confuse activity with achievement. Checking off 100 small, unimportant tasks can feel productive, but doesn't move the needle on our significant goals.
That makes sense. It's like running on a treadmill, moving, sweating, but not getting closer to our destination. Being busy isn't the same as being effective.
Exactly. This leads to another major time thief, a lack of clarity on our priorities. If you don't know what's truly important, how can you allocate time effectively? Without clear priorities, every task can feel equally urgent, leading to chaos.
And when everything feels urgent, we tend to do the easiest or most immediately gratifying thing first, right? The path of least resistance.
Absolutely. Another big one is constant distractions. Notifications, emails, social media alerts, they're designed to grab our attention. Each interruption, even brief, breaks focus and takes time to recover from. That recovery time adds up significantly.
Oh, I can relate. It's like being in the middle of a deep thought, and then a ping happens and you're back at square one, trying to remember what you were thinking about. It's exhausting.
It really is. This constant switching of attention, this task switching, is notoriously inefficient. Our brains aren't built for rapid context changes. It drains mental energy and reduces work quality.
So, we've touched on confusing busyness with productivity, lack of priorities, distractions leading to task switching. Are there other fundamental reasons we lose time?
Yes, we often fall victim to reactive mode. We spend our days responding to incoming requests, demands, and fires, rather than proactively carving out time for things that matter. It's like being a firefighter instead of an architect designing a fireproof building.
That's a powerful analogy. So, instead of being in charge of our day, we let our day happen to us.
Precisely. This reactive mode is often fueled by FOMO, fear of missing out. We feel compelled to say yes to every invitation, every request, because we worry we'll miss something important. But in doing so, we miss opportunities to focus on our own deeply important goals.
That fear can be a strong motivator, even if it leads us astray. So, we're not being intentional with our yes, and consequently, not with our nos.
Exactly right. And speaking of no's, many people struggle with boundaries. They have difficulty saying no to requests that don't align with their priorities, or they overcommit, leading to burnout and a feeling of being constantly behind. It's a failure to protect our time and energy.
It sounds like a lot of these issues are intertwined. Busyness, lack of priorities, distractions, reactivity, FOMO, and poor boundaries all feed into each other, creating this cycle of overwhelm and unproductivity.
They absolutely do. The first step to breaking that cycle is awareness. We need to become detectives of our own time. We need to understand where our hours are truly going. This sets the stage for us to audit our time and identify these drains precisely.
That sounds like a crucial step. So, before we can start mastering our time, we first need to acknowledge that we're currently losing it and understand how and why. We've talked about the illusion of busyness, the importance of clear priorities, the impact of distractions and task switching, the perils of reactive mode, FOMO, and the struggle with setting boundaries.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. By understanding these foundational reasons, we're equipping ourselves to start reclaiming those lost hours. The promise of this series is not just about managing your time better, but about investing it. It's about ensuring your precious hours are spent on things that truly matter to you, leading to a more fulfilling and less stressful life.
It's about shifting from feeling controlled by time to being in control of time. I'm really excited for listeners to begin this transformation with us.
Me too. So, to recap, we lose time because we often confuse busyness with productivity. We lack clear priorities. We're constantly distracted. We tend to operate in reactive mode. We fear missing out, and we struggle with setting boundaries. This episode has laid the groundwork for understanding why we feel like time is slipping away.
And next time, we're going to get practical. We'll show you how to conduct your own personal time audit to uncover exactly where your time is going.
That's right. So join us for episode 2, your personal time audit. Where does it all go?
We'll see you there.
Welcome back. We covered why time slips away. Now, let's discover where it goes.
That's right, Alex. Last time, we explored the why behind our time disappearing. Today, we're getting hands-on with the how by diving into a personal time audit. It's our first actionable step to truly understand our time habits.
Think of it like managing your finances. When you want to know where your money goes, you check your bank statement. A personal time audit is your time's financial statement. It's your blueprint for understanding your current time habits.
A financial statement for time. I love that analogy. So, Alex, what exactly is a personal time audit and why is it so crucial?
Simply put, a personal time audit is a detailed record of how you spend your time over a set period. It requires honesty and tracking everything. Its importance is paramount because we can't change what we don't measure. We often think we know how we spend our time, but the reality is frequently different. We underestimate time spent on distractions and overestimate time on productive tasks.
Oh, I know that feeling. I've looked back at my day and wondered, where did those 2 hours vanish? It feels like a complete mystery.
That mystery is precisely what the time audit solves. It uncovers those hidden time sinks, those small drains that steal your time without you noticing. These can be endlessly scrolling social media, getting sidetracked by emails, or engaging in purposeless conversations. The audit reveals these patterns objectively.
When you say detailed record, what does that look like in practice? How do listeners actually do this?
The most effective method is to track your activities in real time. I recommend doing this for at least 3 to 5 consecutive days. This period captures a good mix of your weekdays and weekends, revealing daily patterns and variations. You can use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or a phone app. The tool is less important than the consistent habit of recording.
And what information should we record for each activity?
Jot down the activity. Be specific. Instead of work, write responding to emails, working on Project X, or attending team meeting. Then, record the start time and end time. Calculating the duration is simple, but noting the start and end times reinforces your awareness.
So, throughout the day, I'd stop and think, okay, I'm starting to browse the news. That's from 9:15 a.m. to 9:32 a.m.
Exactly. And don't judge yourself. The goal is to gather data, not to feel guilty. The more honest and comprehensive you are, the more valuable the insights. You'll start seeing recurring themes. You might discover you spend 30 minutes each morning just checking emails before tackling your most important task.
That's a classic hidden time sink. What are some other common culprits people uncover?
Unscheduled interruptions are huge. Phone calls, colleagues dropping by, unexpected errands. Many are surprised by how much time these add up to. Another major one is digital distractions, social media, news websites, random videos. Then there's the less obvious, like excessive context switching, where you jump between tasks, losing precious minutes in each transition.
Context switching. That makes sense. It feels like you're never fully focused, so nothing gets done efficiently.
Precisely. You expend mental energy just switching gears. Remember, this audit isn't just for work hours. It's for your entire day. How much time do you spend commuting? Preparing meals? Watching television? Interacting with family? This holistic view is crucial for understanding your total time landscape.
Once we have this data after 3 to 5 days of tracking, what do we do with it? How do we turn those notes into insights?
This is where the magic happens. Review your data and look for patterns. Group similar activities. Tally the total time spent on each category. You might be shocked to see you're spending 3 hours a day on social media, or that your commute is much longer than you thought.
So I'd look at my raw data and say, okay, 1.5 hours on email, 4 hours on project A, 30 minutes on social media, 1 hour in meetings, 1 hour commuting, 30 minutes on personal calls. And then sum those up.
That's the process. As you add up these categories, you'll see where your time is disproportionately allocated. You'll identify areas where your perceived time used differs from your actual use. This discrepancy is often a huge wake-up call. Imagine you thought you spent only 30 minutes on social media, but your audit shows over 2 hours. That's a significant chunk of time that could be reclaimed.
And once we see these patterns, what's the next step? Is it about eliminating everything that isn't productive?
Not necessarily eliminating, but reevaluating and prioritizing. The audit helps you understand what you are doing so you can decide what you want to be doing. If you discover you're spending a lot of time on activities that don't align with your goals or values, that's where you can start making conscious choices to redirect that time. If your goal is to learn a new skill and you're spending hours watching TV, the audit clearly points to a substitution opportunity.
So the time audit is like a diagnostic tool. It tells you what's going on, and then we use that information to make changes. It's not about judgment, but about awareness leading to intentionality.
Exactly. It's about moving from unconscious time spending to conscious time allocation. It's about gaining control. This process isn't a one-time thing. I recommend revisiting it periodically, perhaps every few months, especially after you've implemented changes, to ensure you're on track and to identify new time drains.
That's fantastic advice. So, to recap, a personal time audit is a detailed, honest record of how you spend your time over a few days. You track activities, start times, and end times. Reviewing this data reveals patterns and hidden time sinks, allowing you to compare your perceived time use with your actual time use. This awareness is the foundation for making intentional changes and reclaiming your time for what truly matters.
You've got it, Lisa. This audit is your personal compass. It shows you where you are, so you can navigate to where you want to be. Without this foundational understanding, any attempt to manage time effectively will be like trying to steer a ship without a map.
So, the challenge for our listeners this week is to conduct their own personal time audit. Commit to tracking for 3 to 5 days and be as thorough as possible.
Absolutely. Be brave, be honest, and gather that data. You might be surprised by what you discover. And next time, we'll take the insights from your audit and move on to the next step, prioritizing what truly matters most.
Looking forward to it. Next episode, the priority matrix, sorting what matters most.
Welcome back to Master Your Time. Last time, we discovered where your hours were vanishing. Now, let's talk about what truly matters.
Knowing where your time goes is one thing, but deciding what deserves your time is another. Today, we're introducing the priority matrix.
This concept helps us distinguish between what feels urgent and what is truly important. Think of it as a map for your time, guiding you towards activities that yield the greatest results.
So, it's about making smarter choices with our time, not just being busy. We can spend hours on tasks that feel pressing but don't move the needle.
Exactly. The matrix visualizes and categorizes your tasks based on two questions. Is this task urgent? And is this task important?
Urgent versus important. Can you break down those quadrants for us?
Absolutely. Quadrant 1. Urgent and important. These are your crises and pressing problems, like a major client deadline or a genuine crisis. You have to deal with them right away.
Okay, so quadrant one is the now or never stuff. What's next?
Next, we move to Quadrant 2. These tasks are important but not urgent. Think about planning, building relationships, developing skills, exercising, or strategic thinking. This is where long-term success happens.
So these are the things that add the most value, but don't have a ticking clock. They can easily get pushed aside.
Precisely. Many people spend too much time in other quadrants, neglecting Quadrant 2. These are our proactive, preventative, and growth-oriented activities.
So if quadrant two is the sweet spot, what do we have in the other quadrants?
Let's look at Quadrant 3. These tasks are urgent but not important. This is often where interruptions and demands of others pull us. Think of emails demanding an immediate reply but not serving your goals, or pointless meetings.
So these feel urgent because someone else needs something now, but they don't actually contribute to our most important objectives.
You've got it. And the final quadrant, Quadrant 4, is where we go when we're not managing our time well. These are tasks that are neither urgent nor important. They are pure time wasters, like excessive web surfing or trivial distractions.
Time wasters. That sounds like a pretty bleak place to spend your time, leaving you drained with nothing to show for it.
Exactly. So, let's recap the four quadrants. Quadrant 1, urgent and important, crises and pressing problems. Quadrant 2, important, not urgent, proactive planning, relationship building, and growth. Quadrant 3, urgent, not important, interruptions and non-vital activities. Quadrant 4, not urgent, not important, time wasters and trivialities.
This makes so much sense. When we did our time audits, many of us probably saw a lot of time spent in quadrant three, feeling like we were constantly reacting, and not enough in quadrant two.
That's a common observation. The goal is to shift our focus dramatically towards Quadrant 2. We want to spend more time in Quadrant 2 activities proactively, so they become less likely to spill into Quadrant 1 crises.
So, by investing in quadrant two now, we can prevent future emergencies and create more opportunities. It's like regular car maintenance preventing a breakdown.
That's a perfect analogy. Imagine an architect planning a building. They spend a lot of time in Quadrant 2 designing and ensuring a strong foundation. This prevents major structural issues later on.
And by scheduling quadrant two activities, we build a shield against the interruptions of quadrant three and the time sinks of quadrant four.
Right? So, how do we do this in practice? Take your audited tasks and slot them into these quadrants. Be honest. A social media scroll might be Quadrant 4. Checking email immediately if it's not an emergency is likely Quadrant 3.
And don't feel bad if you discover a lot of your daily activities are in quadrant three or four. The point is awareness. Once we see it, we can change it.
Absolutely. The key is intention. We want to proactively schedule and protect time for Quadrant 2 activities. Put them on your calendar, just like important meetings. For example, block out an hour each week for learning if skill development is a priority.
So, rather than just hoping we'll get to these important but not urgent things, we need to make them commitments. Treat them with the same respect as a client appointment.
Precisely. And as you become more adept at Quadrant 2 activities, You'll get better at identifying and minimizing quadrant 3 and 4 tasks. You'll learn to say no to interruptions and handle them more efficiently when they do arise.
This concept is so powerful because it shifts our mindset from reactive to proactive. It empowers us to take control of our time based on what truly matters.
And by consistently focusing on quadrant 2, we build momentum. We start seeing progress on our long-term goals, feel more fulfilled, and reduce chronic stress. It's about intentional living, using your precious time for what will truly make a difference.
So, to recap, the priority matrix helps us categorize tasks into 4 quadrants: urgent and important crises, important and not urgent, quadrant 2, our focus, urgent and not important, interruptions, and not urgent and not important, time wasters. Our mission is to spend more time in quadrant 2 by proactively scheduling these activities.
Exactly. It's a foundational step in mastering your time. By understanding this matrix, you're equipping yourself to make better decisions about where your energy goes, ensuring you're investing your time in activities that lead to fulfillment and success.
This is such a game changer, Alex. I'm really looking forward to applying this. Next time, we'll build on this foundation by talking about how to actually structure our days to make room for those all-important quadrant 2 activities.
That's right, because knowing your priorities is only the first step. Next episode, time blocking, architecting your day. Welcome back. Last time, we dove deep into the priority matrix, helping you sort what truly matters.
That was eye-opening, Alex. Seeing our tasks visually laid out clarified where our energy should be focused.
Exactly, Lisa. But identifying your priorities is only the first step. The real magic happens when you start actively scheduling those priorities into your day. That's where today's topic comes in, time blocking.
Time blocking. It sounds so controlled, almost rigid. I can already hear some listeners thinking, but Alex, my day is unpredictable.
And that's a very common reaction. It can feel rigid at first, but think of it less as a restrictive cage and more as a blueprint. You're the architect of your day, and time blocking is your architectural plan. Instead of just letting hours drift by, you're intentionally assigning them to specific tasks, especially those high-priority items we identified last time.
So, rather than just having a to-do list, we're giving each item a specific appointment in our calendar.
Precisely. Imagine your week is a puzzle. Time blocking is how you deliberately place the most important pieces, your high-priority tasks, first, ensuring they get the space they need. If you have a task that's in the important but not urgent quadrant of your priority matrix, you're not just hoping to get to it. You're creating a dedicated time slot for it.
This means we're not just reacting to whatever pops up, but proactively making space for the things that will actually move the needle forward on our goals.
That's the core idea. So how do we start? First, look at your priority matrix from our last episode. Choose 1 or 2 of those important, not urgent tasks. These are your prime candidates for time blocking.
Okay, so I've identified my task. Let's say it's writing a chapter for a book or working on a strategic project. What's the next step in blocking out time for it?
Next, decide when you're going to do it. And this is where realism is key. Don't block out 8 hours for a task if you know you can only focus for 2. Look at your typical day. When are you most alert and focused for this type of work? Morning? Afternoon?
And we should be honest with ourselves here, right? If I'm usually hitting a slump at 3 p.m., blocking my most critical thinking task for that time is probably a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely. Be honest. If you need breaks, factor them in. If you know certain times of day are always filled with recurring meetings or necessary interruptions, work around them, not through them. Think of it as carving out a dedicated space. For example, you might block out 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. for focused work on that book chapter.
So, I'd literally put book chapter writing in my calendar from 9 to 10:30 a.m., just like I would a doctor's appointment or a meeting with a client.
Exactly. And here's a crucial tip. Be specific within that block. Instead of just work on Project X, try to define the specific outcome you aim to achieve during that block. For your book chapter, it might be outline chapter 3 or write the introduction of chapter 3. This provides a tangible target and makes the block more effective.
That makes sense. It gives that allocated time a clear purpose, rather than it being a vague working on stuff block.
Right? Also, consider the duration. For deep work requiring intense concentration, some experts suggest shorter, more frequent blocks, like 50 to 90 minutes, followed by a short break. For less demanding tasks, longer blocks might be fine. Experiment and see what works for your energy levels and the nature of the task.
So, we're not just blocking time, but being thoughtful about the quality of that time and our own capacity.
Precisely. Now, what about those times that aren't blocked for deep work? We still need to account for everything else. This means scheduling in administrative tasks, email checks, and yes, even breaks and transition times.
The transitions. We touched on those briefly before. So, this is where we start to give those a dedicated spot too?
Yes, if you finish a 90-minute work block at 10:30 a.m., don't immediately jump into the next complex task at 10:31 a.m. Block out 10:30 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. as a transition and break block. This allows you to mentally shift gears, grab a drink, stretch, and prepare for the next activity. It sounds like wasted time, but it's actually an investment in maintaining focus and preventing burnout.
It's like giving ourselves a little buffer zone so we don't crash between activities. That's a really practical tip.
It truly is. And for less cognitively demanding tasks, like responding to emails or making phone calls, you can group them into larger batch blocks. For instance, you might block out 11 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. for communication tasks. This prevents you from constantly switching context throughout the day, which is a huge time drain. We'll explore batching more in a later episode, but time blocking is the framework that allows us to schedule those batches.
So, to recap what we've discussed so far about time blocking, identify your high priority tasks from the priority matrix. Choose the best time of day for that task based on your energy and focus. Block out specific, realistic time slots in your calendar for these tasks, just as you would for appointments.
And be specific about the outcome for each block. Consider the ideal duration for your focus and the task's nature. Remember to schedule transition times and breaks to recharge and shift focus effectively. And finally, use time blocking to schedule administrative tasks and communication in dedicated batch blocks.
It's about creating a proactive schedule, not a reactive one. And it sounds like this really helps combat that feeling of being overwhelmed by an endless to-do list.
That's the goal. When you see your day laid out with dedicated blocks for what matters, it provides clarity and a sense of control. Now, a natural resistance many people feel is, what if something unexpected comes up during my block time?
That's the exact question I was going to ask, Alex. Life happens. Meetings run over, emergencies pop up.
And that's where the architect analogy is useful again. An architect has a plan, but they also account for unforeseen issues. Your time blocks are not set in stone, but they're your guiding structure. If an emergency truly requires your attention, you address it. But then, your task is to see how you can reschedule that block time rather than just letting it disappear.
So, if a crucial client call interrupts my strategic project work block, the follow-up action isn't to just abandon the project for the day, but to look at my calendar and find another slot to reschedule that work.
Exactly. It's about making conscious decisions about where your time goes. It might even involve a difficult conversation. If a meeting frequently encroaches on your most productive time, you might need to propose a different time or question its necessity, perhaps using other techniques we'll discuss later.
It's about protecting those blocks we've intentionally created for our priorities. It requires discipline, but the payoff sounds huge.
It absolutely does. The key is to start small. Try time blocking for just one or two high-priority tasks for a week. See how it feels. What worked, what didn't. Don't aim for perfection on day one. Aim for progress. This isn't about creating a rigid, joyless schedule. It's about intentionally designing a day that supports your goals and well-being.
So, we've moved from understanding our priorities to actively making space for them. This feels like the plan is really coming together.
It is. Time blocking is the engine that drives your priority list forward. It's the practice of turning your intentions into actions day by day.
I'm excited to try implementing this. It feels like a powerful tool for reclaiming our days.
It is. And the more you practice it, the more natural it will become, and the more control you'll feel over your time.
So, building on our priority matrix, time blocking puts those priorities into action by assigning them specific slots in our day. We need to be realistic, specific about outcomes, and mindful of transitions. And when life intervenes, we need to reschedule, not abandon.
You've got it. Next episode, we'll tackle another crucial aspect of making sure your time is spent wisely: ruthless elimination, or learning to say no to what drains you.
That sounds like a much needed skill for all of us.
It certainly is. See you then. Welcome back. Last time we covered time blocking. Now let's tackle ruthless elimination.
Ruthless elimination. That sounds intense, Alex.
It is. So many of us drown in commitments that don't align with our goals. We've spent the last 4 episodes building a foundation. Now, we need to clear the decks to make space for the good things we planned.
So, it's not just about scheduling the right things, but removing the wrong ones?
Precisely. Think of your time like a garden. If you don't pull out the weeds, they'll choke out your prize-winning tomatoes. Ruthless elimination is about being that diligent gardener.
But saying no feels incredibly difficult. We worry about disappointing people or missing out.
You've hit on the core challenge. There's often a fear of scarcity or simply people-pleasing. We're conditioned to be helpful.
And in that conditioning, we agree to things that pull us away from our core priorities.
Exactly. So, how do we overcome this? First, recognize what deserves elimination. If something doesn't serve your most important goals, your values, or your well-being, it's a candidate for elimination. This includes tasks, meetings, social obligations, and distractions.
So, when a new request comes in, we ask, does this help me achieve my top priorities?
That's the question. And often, the answer is no. But even then, we struggle. Part of effective elimination is giving yourself permission to decline to protect your time. Does this request point you north, toward your true north, or is it sending you off course?
Okay, I've identified something not aligned. How do I actually say no without feeling guilty?
There are many ways to say no gracefully. It's not always a blunt no. Sometimes it's no because you can offer a brief, honest reason without over-explaining. For example, thank you for thinking of me for this project. Unfortunately, my plate is full with my current priorities, so I won't be able to take this on right now.
My plate is full with my current priorities. That's respectful and explains the situation.
And it redirects the focus back to what you are doing. You can also offer alternatives if appropriate. I can't lead this initiative, but I can offer suggestions for who might be a good fit, or I can't attend the whole meeting, but I can provide my input beforehand on this specific topic. This shows you're still willing to contribute in a way that respects your boundaries.
That's strategic helpfulness, not just blind agreement. It's about finding a way to be supportive without sacrificing your own time and energy.
Precisely. And this applies to what's already on your plate, not just incoming requests. Think about recurring tasks or commitments that have become habitual but no longer serve a purpose. Are you still on that committee that meets weekly? Are you still subscribing to newsletters you never read? This is where the ruthless part comes in. You need to actively prune your schedule.
So, we should periodically review our existing commitments. It's not just a one-time declutter.
Absolutely. Schedule a monthly review specifically for elimination. Look at your calendar, your to-do list, your email subscriptions. Ask yourself for each item, is this actively serving me or my goals right now? Am I getting value from this? Is there a better way to achieve this outcome? Or is this outcome even necessary? If the answer is no, it's time to eliminate.
This is powerful because we often get stuck in busy work that feels productive but isn't moving us forward. It's like running on a treadmill. You expend energy, but don't get anywhere.
That's a fantastic parallel. We need to consciously choose to step off the treadmill. This also means being mindful of digital distractions. Social media, endless email checking, notifications. These are time vampires. Ruthless elimination here means setting clear boundaries. Turn off non-essential notifications. Schedule specific times for checking email and social media.
I know I struggle with that. My phone buzzes, and I feel this involuntary pull to look at it.
It's a common trap. For ruthless elimination in the digital space, you can even go as far as deleting apps that are habitual time wasters or muting group chats that are noisy with non-essential chatter. It's about reclaiming your focus. Remember, when you say yes to something, you're implicitly saying no to everything else you could have been doing with that time. By saying no deliberately to time wasters, you're actually saying a much stronger yes to your priorities.
So, ruthless elimination isn't about being negative. It's about being strategic, protecting your most valuable resource, your time, so you can invest it wisely in what truly matters. It's about making conscious choices about where your energy and attention go.
Exactly. By mastering the art of saying no, you create the freedom and space to say a resounding yes to your most important work, your passions, and your well-being. This is the essential step that allows all the scheduling and prioritizing we've discussed to truly pay off.
So, to recap, ruthless elimination is about identifying and removing tasks, commitments, and distractions that don't align with your core priorities. It involves learning to say no gracefully and periodically reviewing your existing commitments to prune what no longer serves you. It's about conscious choice and protecting your focus.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. By implementing these strategies, you're not just decluttering your schedule, you're decluttering your mind, reducing stress, and creating a more fulfilling and productive life.
It feels empowering to even just think about it.
And we'll keep building on that. Next episode, calendar protection. Think of your calendar as your digital fortress, and we'll discuss how to defend it against encroachment.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome back to Master Your Time. Last time, we learned the crucial skill of ruthlessly eliminating activities that drain our energy and don't align with our priorities. Today, we're building on that by digging into something vital, calendar protection. Think of your calendar not just as a schedule, but as your digital fortress, guarding the time you've worked so hard to reclaim.
That's such a powerful image, Alex, a digital fortress. I love it because it really does feel like that sometimes, doesn't it? We spend all this effort auditing our time, prioritizing, even time blocking, only to have it chipped away by unexpected requests, constant pings, or just a general lack of clear boundaries. So, protecting it feels like the next logical and essential step.
Exactly, Lisa. And it starts with a mindset shift. We need to start treating our calendar appointments with the same respect we'd give to an in-person meeting with someone important. If someone double booked you for a face-to-face, you'd be surprised, right? We need that same level of vigilance with our digital calendar. Your scheduled focus time, your deep work blocks. These are important meetings with yourself.
So, it's about recognizing the value of our own scheduled blocks of time. How do we translate that into practical strategies for calendar protection? What does this digital fortress actually look like in action?
Great question. The first line of defense is often about clarity and communication. When you schedule an event, especially a focus block or a period for deep work, make sure the description is clear about the purpose of that time. Is it deep work, project X, or a strategic planning session? Clarity helps others understand that this time is not readily available for interruption.
Okay, so a clear description is key. It's like putting up a sign on your fortress gate. What else?
Next, we need to be intentional about accepting invitations. Before you automatically hit accept on every meeting invite that lands in your inbox, pause. Does this meeting truly align with your priorities? Is your presence essential? Could this be an email instead? This ties directly back to what we discussed in the last episode, ruthless elimination. Don't let your calendar become a dumping ground for low-value meetings.
That's a tough but necessary filter to apply. It's so easy to just click accept out of politeness or habit. So, it's about proactively questioning the value of what's being added to our calendar.
Precisely. And when you do accept, consider your availability settings. For essential focus blocks, you might set your status to busy even if you don't have a specific meeting scheduled. This signals to others that you're occupied and not available for ad hoc requests. Many calendar systems allow you to set default busy times or even block out recurring periods for focus. Use these features.
That busy status is a really simple yet effective tool. It's a silent semaphore on your digital gate, isn't it? It says, I'm here, I'm working, but I'm not available for casual interruption.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about expectations with your colleagues or team. This is where setting boundaries comes in. It's not about being uncooperative, it's about being effective. Part of calendar protection is proactively communicating your availability and your focus times. This might mean having a conversation with your manager or team about dedicated work periods.
So, it's a proactive conversation rather than just a reactive one when someone tries to book over your time. How might that conversation go?
You could say something like, I'm dedicating Tuesday mornings from 9 a.m. to noon for deep work on the marketing campaign. I'll be unavailable for meetings during that time, but I'll check emails afterwards and will respond to anything urgent. This sets a clear expectation without creating an insurmountable barrier. It shows you're still responsive, just within defined parameters. You're not a fortress with no doors. You're a fortress with controlled access points.
I like that analogy. It's not about absolute isolation, but about controlled access. And by communicating upfront, you avoid those awkward moments of pushing back when a meeting request pops up unexpectedly.
Absolutely. Another powerful technique is to use buffer time. Between scheduled meetings, especially longer ones, schedule a short buffer. This could be 5 or 10 minutes. This buffer time serves multiple purposes. It allows you to transition mentally from one task to the next, grab a drink, use the restroom, or quickly jot down notes from the previous meeting without feeling rushed.
Oh, buffer time. That's brilliant. I find myself rushing from one video call to the next, often still thinking about the last one when the new one starts. That buffer would make a huge difference in feeling less frazzled.
It does. And it also gives you a small window to handle any immediate, unforeseen issues that might arise without derailing your entire schedule. Think of it as a small, flexible annex to your fortress, a place to briefly regroup. It also helps prevent back-to-back scheduling, which is a common enemy of deep, focused work. Our brains don't just switch on and off like a light. They need a moment to pivot.
So, to recap the tactical defense strategies we've discussed so far, clear event descriptions are your first line of defense. Proactively questioning and declining non-essential invitations is your patrol. Setting your status to busy during focus blocks is your silent alarm. Communicating your availability and work periods to others is your diplomatic core, establishing clear borders. And buffer time is your strategic regrouping space.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. And remember, this isn't a one-time fix. Calendar protection is an ongoing practice. You'll need to revisit your settings, reevaluate your acceptance criteria, and sometimes gently, or not so gently, reinforce those boundaries. It's about building sustainable habits.
It really is about developing that discipline. Because the temptation to overcommit or let others dictate our schedule is always there.
Indeed. And one final crucial aspect: schedule recurring defense time for yourself. This might be 15 minutes at the end of each day to review your calendar for the next day, adjust anything, and prepare. Or maybe an hour at the beginning of each week to map out your priorities and block your focus time. Treat this scheduling time as non-negotiable. It's your general planning your defenses.
So, you're essentially saying we need to schedule time to protect our scheduled time. That sounds almost meta, but it makes perfect sense. It's like putting on your armor before going into battle.
Exactly. By actively managing and protecting your calendar, you're not just managing your schedule, you're managing your energy, your focus, and ultimately, your ability to achieve what truly matters. Your calendar becomes a tool that serves you, not the other way around. It's the bedrock of a time-rich life.
This episode really highlights how important intention is when it comes to our time. It's not enough to just block out time. We need to actively defend those blocks. Thank you, Alex, for sharing these practical and insightful strategies.
My pleasure, Lisa. This is all about building a sustainable system. Next episode: meeting reduction, reclaiming meeting minutes. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Master Your Time. Last time, we fortified our calendars against interruptions. Today, we're tackling a prime suspect in time theft: meetings.
Meetings. The black holes where minutes vanish and productivity goes to die. I'm ready for some strategies to reclaim those lost hours, Alex.
Fantastic, Lisa. So, the truth is, many meetings are simply inefficient or unnecessary. We often attend them out of habit or obligation, not because they truly advance our goals. Our mission today is to equip listeners with the tools to systematically reduce and improve the meetings they attend.
That sounds liberating. Where do we start with such a daunting task?
We start with a simple, yet powerful question: is this meeting necessary? Before you even accept an invitation, ask yourself if your presence is truly required. Can you achieve the same outcome by email, a quick chat, or by reviewing a shared document?
That's a good filter. It forces us to be intentional rather than just automatically saying yes.
Exactly. And if a meeting is necessary, then preparation becomes key. A well-prepared meeting is often a shorter, more productive meeting. This means having a clear agenda distributed beforehand. What are the specific topics to be discussed? What are the desired outcomes for each topic?
So, an agenda isn't just a list of talking points, but a roadmap with a destination.
Precisely. And attached to that agenda should be any pre-reading materials. If you want people to weigh in on a document, send it out well in advance, not 5 minutes before the meeting starts. This allows attendees to come prepared, informed, and ready to contribute meaningfully.
I can see how that would prevent a lot of let me just pull that up moments that eat up precious time.
You bet. Now let's talk about attendees. Is everyone on the invite list absolutely essential for the discussion? Often, there are courtesy invites, people who are there just in case, or because they've always been invited. Be ruthless in culling this list. Fewer people usually means faster decisions and less talking.
So, the principle is quality over quantity when it comes to attendees.
Absolutely. And for those who are attending, we need to set clear objectives. What do we want to achieve by the end of this meeting? Is it a decision, a plan, an understanding, a shared commitment? Stating this up front, not just in the agenda, but at the start of the meeting itself, keeps everyone focused.
This sounds like a lot of managerial overhead for each meeting. Can it really be worth it?
Think about the wasted hours, Lisa. If a 1 hour meeting with 10 people costs, say $100 per person in salary and benefits, that's $1,000 down the drain if it's unproductive. Investing 15 minutes in preparation to save potentially thousands of dollars and hours of lost productivity is a no-brainer. Wouldn't you agree?
When you put it that way, it's undeniably worthwhile.
Now, let's talk about time itself. This is where time blocking we discussed earlier really comes into play, but for meetings, when scheduling, be realistic about how long a discussion will actually take. Don't just default to the standard hour. If you need 25 minutes, schedule 25 minutes. This forces conciseness.
And even better, aim for shorter meetings. Can this be a 15-minute check-in instead of 30?
Exactly. That's a powerful strategy. And when the meeting is in progress, the facilitator, who should be assigned responsibly, needs to keep a firm grip on the agenda and the clock. There should be a designated person to gently steer conversations back on track if they wander.
So, the facilitator is the guardian of focus and time.
They are. And to combat the tendency for discussions to extend beyond the allotted time, consider having a parking lot for off-topic items. Anyone can suggest tabling a discussion for later review, rather than letting it derail the current objective.
The parking lot. I like that. It acknowledges that ideas might be good, but not for this moment.
And it keeps the primary goal in sight. Now, what about the aftermath of a meeting? Too often, we leave them with a vague sense of what was discussed, but no clear action items.
And then no one knows who is doing what by when.
Precisely. So, at the end of every meeting, the facilitator should quickly recap decisions made and assign clear action items. Who's responsible for what? By when does it need to be done? This is crucial for accountability and ensuring that the meeting actually leads to progress.
So, to recap what we've discussed so far about reclaiming minutes from meetings. First, we question the necessity of attending or hosting a meeting in the first place. If it's needed, we prepare with a clear agenda and distribute pre-reading materials.
Then, we be judicious about who we invite, ensuring everyone present is truly needed. We set clear objectives for the meeting, and we schedule realistically, aiming for shorter durations whenever possible.
And during the meeting, the facilitator keeps things on track, using tools like a parking lot for off-topic discussions to maintain focus. Finally, we end with clear action items and assigned responsibilities to ensure progress.
You've got it. And remember, this isn't about eliminating all meetings. It's about making them purposeful, productive, and respectful of everyone's time. It's about ensuring that when you do attend a meeting, you're contributing to something valuable, not just marking time.
It's about transforming meetings from a necessary evil into a powerful tool for collaboration and progress.
Exactly. Think about the cumulative effect of shaving off 10, 15, or even 30 minutes from just 1 or 2 meetings a week. That's hours back in your pocket each month. Hours you can then reinvest in deep work, strategic thinking, or simply recharging.
It really is about reclaiming our most precious, non-renewable resource.
So, start applying these principles today. Question every meeting invitation. Prepare diligently when you accept. Facilitate with purpose. And always ensure clear outcomes. You'll be amazed at the difference it makes.
This has been incredibly insightful, Alex. I know I'll be more critical of my meeting commitments going forward.
Excellent. Next time, we'll dive into another powerful productivity technique, batch processing. We'll explore how grouping similar tasks can dramatically boost your efficiency. Next episode, batch processing, grouping for efficiency. Welcome back to Master Your Time. Last time, we protected your calendar and reclaimed meeting minutes. Now, let's group similar tasks for efficiency.
That sounds promising, Alex. We've looked at blocking time and saying no. What is batch processing?
Imagine cooking a big meal. Would you chop one vegetable, cook meat, chop another, or chop all vegetables, then cook all meat?
Chop everything, then cook everything. Grouping similar actions makes sense.
Exactly. That's batch processing. We often jump between different tasks: email, report, call, social media. Each switch requires our brain to reorient, called context switching. It drains mental energy and time.
I feel that. A little mental pause each time I switch gears. Dozens of times a day, wow.
Precisely. Moving from creative thinking to administrative tasks like sorting emails needs a mental shift. Batch processing minimizes this by grouping similar tasks into focus blocks. It helps you enter and stay in a flow state.
So, instead of checking email notifications, we designate specific times to handle all emails at once.
You've got it. Email is a classic example. Constant interruptions. Batching email time, perhaps twice a day, prevents it from hijacking your attention. This frees you to concentrate on demanding tasks without inbox interruptions.
That would be a huge difference. I spend too much time in my inbox.
It's common. Batch processing isn't just for emails. It applies to many activities. Think about phone calls. Instead of scattered calls, group them into one block. You'll be in the phone call mindset, tools ready, moving efficiently.
This makes so much sense. It's like setting up your workspace for a specific activity. What other tasks are good for batching?
Great question. Consider administrative tasks: paying bills, processing invoices, filing, organizing digital files. These are repetitive and require similar focus. Grouping them is efficient. Dedicate an hour weekly to these chores instead of letting them interrupt productive time.
So, identify recurring, similar tasks and set aside time to do them all at once.
Exactly. It's not just about putting out fires. Batching can apply to creative work too. If you have creative bursts, writing, designing, brainstorming, schedule dedicated blocks for them. Instead of writing one paragraph today and another tomorrow, dedicate a few hours to pure writing to get into a deep creative flow.
That's a fantastic point. When I'm in a creative flow, even a short break can ruin momentum. Batching creative work would help maintain that zone.
Absolutely. It helps sustain deep work. Another area for batching is learning or professional development. Instead of one short tutorial here and there, set aside time weekly for a longer webinar, a book chapter, or practicing a new skill.
This feels like a powerful way to make progress on personal development goals that often get pushed aside.
It really is. So, batch processing means identifying similar tasks, grouping them, and dedicating specific, uninterrupted time blocks. This minimizes context switching, reduces mental fatigue, and allows for greater focus and efficiency.
And the benefits are reducing those mental pauses, getting into a flow state, and making significant progress on creative or learning goals.
You've got it. How do you start? The first step is awareness. Look at your typical day or week. What tasks do you do repeatedly? Make a list.
A personal audit to see what can be batched.
That's right. Next, decide which tasks are best candidates. Generally, tasks requiring the same tools or mental energy are good for batching. Think emails, phone calls, administrative duties, social media updates, or repetitive work.
And then we schedule specific times for these batches?
Precisely. Don't just say, I'll do emails later. Schedule it. For example, I will check and respond to emails from 11 to 11:30 a.m. and 4 to 4:30 p.m. Or, all phone calls will be made between 2 o'clock and 3 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Be deliberate.
What about more varied tasks like creative work?
For those, the goal is to protect the time block for that type of activity. If you schedule a 2-hour block for deep thinking and writing, you do that for those 2 hours. You don't answer emails or make calls. You try to get into that creative zone and stay there. This might mean turning off notifications or letting colleagues know you're in a focus block.
This ties back to calendar protection and saying no, doesn't it? We're creating a fortress around these batched work periods.
Exactly. It's all interconnected. By batching, you save time on individual tasks and reshape your day for greater focus and less fragmentation. It requires discipline, but the payoff in productivity and reduced stress is immense.
So, for listeners implementing this, identify similar tasks, decide what's best for batching, schedule dedicated time blocks, and protect those blocks from interruptions.
That's the perfect summary, Lisa. Batch processing is about working smarter, not just harder, by leveraging focus and minimizing the cost of switching gears. It's fundamental to reclaiming your time and making it count.
It's a very practical strategy that feels achievable. I'm going to try batching my email and administrative tasks this week.
Excellent. As you do, pay attention to how it feels. Notice where you're saving mental energy and how much more you're getting done.
I will. It feels like we're building a really robust toolkit for time mastery.
We are. Next episode, we'll smooth out transitions between your carefully batched work periods. We'll be optimizing transitions to ensure your day flows seamlessly. Next episode, optimizing transitions, smoothly moving between tasks. Welcome back. Last time we covered batch processing. Now let's tackle optimizing transitions.
That's right, Alex. We spend so much time focusing on the tasks themselves that we forget about the moments in between. Those few minutes of scrolling through your phone, grabbing another coffee, or just staring blankly at the wall after finishing one thing and before starting the next. It all adds up.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of your day like a highway. You've got these big destinations, your tasks. But the journey between them, those are the transitions. If those transitions are slow, bumpy, or full of detours, you're going to arrive at your next destination late and flustered. Our goal is to make those transitions smooth, efficient, and actually productive, or at least not wasteful.
So, how do we make these in between moments work for us, rather than against us? Where do we even start?
We start by becoming aware of them. Just like a time audit helps you see where your time is going, an audit of your transitions can show you where it's slipping away. The very first step is to simply notice. When you finish a task, what's the very next thing you do? Does it serve a purpose for your next task? Or is it just a distraction?
That's a good point. I often find myself just grabbing my phone instinctively, even if I don't have anything specific I need to check. It's like a default setting.
And that's a common habit. So, for our listeners, the first actionable tip is to identify your transition habits. Keep a little note with you, or make a mental note for the next day or two. Every time you finish a task, just ask yourself, what am I doing right now and why?
Okay, so awareness is key. Once we're aware, what's the next step to actually optimizing these transitions?
The next step is to deliberately design them. Instead of letting them happen by default, we create a mini routine for each transition. This routine should prepare you for the next task. Think of it like a pit stop in a race. You don't just coast into the pit. You have a practice sequence of actions to get you back on the track as quickly and smoothly as possible.
A pit stop. I like that analogy. So, what would a pit stop look like for, say, transitioning from answering emails to working on a project proposal?
Great example. Your email pit stop might involve a few simple steps. First, close your email client. This visual cue signals that email time is over. Second, take a deep breath to mentally shift gears. Third, quickly review your next task, the proposal, for just 30 seconds to orient yourself. And fourth, open the proposal document and maybe read the last sentence you wrote. This helps you jump right back in.
That makes so much sense. It's about creating a clear break from the old task and a gentle, focused entry into the new one. So, instead of just closing email and then opening the proposal, you build in those conscious, small actions in between.
Precisely. And these transition routines don't need to be long. They can be as short as 30 seconds to 2 minutes, but they make a world of difference. We can break these routines into three main components, or pillars, for effective transitions.
Oh, I'm ready for the pillars.
First pillar, the reset. This is about mentally and physically disengaging from the previous task. For emails, it might be closing the window. For a phone call, it might be putting the phone down and standing up. It's about creating a clear boundary. This is the out-breath of your day.
So, the reset is about letting go of what you just did.
Exactly. The second pillar is the prepare. This is about orienting yourself for what's coming next. This could be reviewing your to-do list for the next task, gathering any materials you need like a drink of water or a specific file, or even just a quick mental rehearsal of what you're about to do. This is the in-breath of the next task, getting ready to engage.
And the third pillar?
The third pillar is the engage. This is the quick, intentional start to your new task. It's not about diving into the deep end, but rather making that first step. For example, if you're writing, it might be jotting down a single sentence or a bullet point. If you're coding, it might be opening the correct file. This helps overcome that initial friction of starting something new.
Reset, prepare, engage. Those sound like very active steps for what I used to see as passive waiting time. Resetting by closing that email tab, preparing by quickly glancing at the proposal's title page, and engaging by writing just one sentence.
You've got it. Now, remember when we discussed time blocking in episode 4? Optimizing transitions is the perfect complement to time blocking. When you block out an hour for a specific task, you also need to account for the minutes it takes to transition into and out of that block. Some of your transition time can be part of the block before and after. For example, the last 5 minutes of a time block can be your reset from that task, and the first 5 minutes of the next block can be your prepare and engage for that new task.
So, a time block isn't just the core work time, but also the buffer around it for these smooth shifts. It's like building in the ramp up and ramp down time.
Precisely. And this also helps immensely with context switching, which we'll touch on more in future episodes. Every time you switch contexts, from email to writing, or from a team meeting to individual work, there's a cognitive cost. Optimizing transitions minimizes that cost. You're not starting from a blank slate each time. You're carrying forward a focused intention.
It sounds like these small, deliberate actions can really act as a psychological cue, helping your brain shift gears more effectively. Does this apply even for very small tasks, like going from one paragraph to the next?
Great question. For very small transitions like paragraph to paragraph, the transition might be almost instantaneous. However, if you're writing something complex, even a small transition like finishing one thought and starting another can benefit from a brief pause. You might take a breath, reread the last sentence, and then think about the one idea your next paragraph needs to convey. It's about intentionality. For larger task shifts, though, the Reset, Prepare, Engage framework is incredibly powerful.
So, to recap for our listeners, firstly, become aware of your current transition habits. Just notice what you do between tasks. Secondly, deliberately design your transitions using the three pillars: reset, prepare, and engage. Reset is about disengaging from the past task. Prepare is about orienting yourself for the next. And engage is about making that first small, intentional step into the new task.
And remember, these transition routines can be short, often just a minute or two. But by consistently applying them, you reclaim those lost moments and build a more fluid, efficient, and less draining workday. You're not just moving from task A to task B. You're orchestrating a seamless flow.
It's all about making those in-between moments work for you. Thank you, Alex. This gives us a really practical way to shave off those little bits of wasted time and gain momentum.
My pleasure, Lisa. And next time, we'll be shifting gears ourselves to talk about designing intentional weekends, making sure our downtime is truly restorative and sets us up for a productive week ahead. Next episode, designing intentional weekends, recharge and refocus. Welcome back to Master Your Time. Let's design intentional weekends.
So often, the weekend is where we think we have the most freedom. But how many of us actually use that freedom in a way that truly recharges us or helps us move forward?
Exactly. We've spent the last 9 episodes building incredible tools for managing our time during the week. Time audits, priority matrices, time blocking, saying no, protecting our calendars, streamlining meetings, batching tasks, and optimizing transitions. All of that is designed to make our weekdays more productive and less stressful. But what happens when Friday afternoon hits? For many, the weekend can become a different kind of time trap.
It can become a blur of chores, social obligations, or just defaulting to whatever pops up. And then Sunday night rolls around, and instead of feeling rested and ready for the week, we feel exhausted or even guilty that we didn't do enough.
That's the core of intentional weekend design, moving from accidental weekends to intentional ones. Think of it like this. If your weekday is a meticulously planned garden, your weekend shouldn't be a wild, overgrown patch. It should be a space designed for specific purposes, for rest, for growth, for connection, for enjoyment.
I love that analogy. So, rather than just letting the weekend happen to us, we need to design it for ourselves. What's the first step in that process?
The first step is to ask yourself, what does true recharge and refocus look like for you? We all have different needs. For some, it's deep quiet and solitude. For others, it's energetic social gatherings. For some, it's physical activity. For others, it's creative pursuits. The key is to move beyond vague notions of relaxing and identify concrete activities.
So, instead of saying, I need to relax, I should identify specific activities that lead to relaxation for me, like a long walk in nature, reading a good book, or even a long, slow cooking session.
Precisely. And this connects directly back to our early episodes. Remember your personal time audit? What were the activities that consistently drained you on the weekend? What were the ones that left you feeling energized and fulfilled?
Oh, I definitely remember identifying that endless scrolling through social media or feeling obligated to attend every single social event, even when I was exhausted. Those were time drains. The things that recharged me were things like hiking, spending quality time with my immediate family without distractions, and working on my painting.
Excellent. So, intentional weekends are about maximizing those recharging activities and minimizing the time drains. This isn't about scheduling every single minute like you might do on a weekday. It's about setting intentions and making conscious choices.
That's a relief. I was imagining trying to time block my entire Saturday.
Not quite. It's more about creating a framework. A good way to start is to identify categories of weekend intent. We've talked about recharge and refocus. Let's break those down. Recharge can mean physical rest, but also mental and emotional rest. Refocus can mean connecting with personal goals, creative projects, or relationships that matter most.
So, for example, recharge could be a lazy Saturday morning with no alarm. Refocus could be dedicating a few hours on Sunday afternoon to learning a new skill related to my long-term career goals.
Exactly. And then you can start to weave these intentional blocks into your weekend. You might decide that Saturday mornings are sacred for quiet, unstructured time. No obligations, no early starts. That's your primary recharge block. Then, perhaps Saturday afternoon is for connecting with friends or family in a way that feels energizing, not draining.
And Sunday could be more geared towards the refocus aspect. Maybe a longer session on a personal project, or perhaps planning out the week ahead in a relaxed way, so Monday morning isn't a shock.
That's a fantastic idea, connecting it to planning. Remember our discussion on optimizing transitions? Even your transition into Monday morning can be smoother if you've had a bit of intentional refocus on Sunday. It's like preparing the ground for the week ahead.
So, it's about being proactive instead of reactive with our weekend time. But what about those unexpected social invitations or those chores that just have to be done? How do we balance intentionality with everyday life?
This is where the saying no muscle we develop comes in handy. You can consciously decide what kind of weekender you want to be. If your primary goal is to feel deeply rested by Monday, you might politely decline a Saturday evening event if it means sacrificing your time for reading or quiet reflection. It's about aligning your weekend choices with your overall goals for your time, which is ultimately a richer, more fulfilling life.
It's about recognizing that our weekends are not just time off, but essential periods for regeneration and growth, and that these periods need to be protected and utilized effectively, just like our weekdays.
Absolutely. Let's revisit the concept of ruthless elimination. Apply that to your weekend. What activities or commitments are taking up your weekend time, but not contributing to your recharge or refocus? Be honest with yourself. Is it excessive screen time? Social obligations you dread? Chores that could be delegated or done more efficiently?
And then once you've identified those drains and identified your recharge and refocus activities, you can start to design. It's not about a rigid schedule, but about creating space for what truly matters. Maybe it's designating certain times, like Sunday mornings, for a specific intentional activity, like a hobby or a walk.
Precisely. And it's also about integrating different kinds of intentionality. Some weekends might be heavy on physical recharge, hiking, sports. Others might be more mentally focused, visiting a museum, attending a workshop, or deep diving into a subject you love. The key is that you are making the choice, not reacting to external pressures.
So, to recap for our listeners, first, define what recharge and refocus truly mean to you by looking back at your time audit and identifying energizing versus draining activities. Second, identify your core weekend intentions. What are the 1 to 3 things that would make your weekend feel truly successful and restorative? Third, designate intentional blocks of time for these activities, not necessarily minute by minute, but by setting aside specific periods. And fourth, apply ruthless elimination to anything on your weekend that takes away from your recharge and refocus goals. This is about transforming your weekend from a passive recipient of time to an active tool for a better life. It's about ensuring that your time off actually serves you.
It's a journey, and it takes practice. You won't get it perfect overnight, but by consciously designing your weekends, you're taking a massive step towards a time-rich lifestyle where every part of your week serves your well-being and goals.
It really shifts the perspective, doesn't it? Our weekends aren't just the end of the work week. They're a vital part of our overall time mastery.
Exactly. And next time, we'll be bringing it all together as we discuss building a time-rich lifestyle and the compounding effect of all these habits. Next episode, building a time-rich lifestyle. Welcome back to Master Your Time. Last time we explored designing intentional weekends for genuine recharge.
That felt like a game changer. Now let's tackle building a sustainable, time-rich lifestyle.
Precisely. A time-rich lifestyle isn't just a collection of techniques. It's a mindset and a series of deeply ingrained habits that support your relationship with time. It's about creating a life where you consistently feel in control, where you have space for what matters most, and where you're not constantly fighting the clock.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Where do we even begin with something that sounds so big?
We begin with consistent review and adaptation. Life is dynamic. Your priorities shift, new opportunities arise, unexpected challenges pop up. If you set up a time management system and then never revisit it, it's bound to become outdated and ineffective.
That makes so much sense. I've definitely fallen into that trap before. I try a new system, get it working, and then just stop thinking about it until it stopped working.
Exactly. So, a cornerstone of a time-rich lifestyle is scheduling regular, brief reviews. This isn't about a massive overhaul every time. It could be a 15-minute check-in at the end of each week to see what worked, what didn't, and what needs a tweak for the upcoming week. Or it could be a more in-depth monthly review where you look at broader trends.
So, like a weekly pulse check for your time management?
A perfect analogy. And during these reviews, we need to be willing to adapt. If a certain time blocking strategy isn't working because unexpected interruptions are always derailing it, maybe you need to adjust your approach. Perhaps create buffer time or rethink the duration of certain blocks. The goal is not to rigidly stick to a plan, but to have a plan that serves you and to be flexible enough to keep it serving you.
It's like tuning a musical instrument. You don't just set it and forget it. You make small adjustments to keep it sounding its best.
Wonderful metaphor. Now, beyond review and adaptation, we need to cultivate proactive habit formation. We've touched on many habits throughout this series, but a time-rich lifestyle demands a conscious effort to make the positive ones automatic. This means intentionally layering your new time mastery habits onto your existing routines.
Layering habits? Can you give me an example of that?
Imagine you already have a solid morning routine where you make coffee. To layer on a habit of weekly review, you could decide that every Friday morning, immediately after your coffee is brewed, you'll spend those 15 minutes on your review. The existing habit of making coffee acts as a trigger for the new habit.
So you attach the new habit to something you already do without thinking. That's much less intimidating than trying to find a completely new block of time for it.
Precisely. And this brings us to another vital element, celebrating small wins and recognizing progress. When you successfully implement a new habit, like consistently sticking to your calendar protection for a week, acknowledge it. This positive reinforcement strengthens the habit and motivates you to continue.
I tend to be my own harshest critic, so I usually focus on what I didn't get done. This is a good reminder to also notice what I did achieve, especially when it comes to managing my time better.
Exactly. Don't underestimate the power of self-acknowledgement. It fuels your commitment. Another key to a time-rich lifestyle is embracing continuous improvement, not perfection. You'll have off days. You will sometimes fall back into old patterns. That's okay. The path to time mastery isn't a straight line. It's a journey with ups and downs. The important thing is to learn from those moments and get back on track.
So it's about progress, not perfection. That's a much more sustainable goal.
Absolutely. And remember earlier in the series when we talked about the compounding effect? The small, consistent actions we take with our time add up over time, just like compound interest. Building these sustainable habits means you're constantly generating that positive return on your time investment. You're not just surviving, you're thriving.
It's like planting seeds. You water them regularly, give them sunlight, and over time, you get a beautiful garden. If you only water them once in a blue moon, nothing much grows.
A perfect analogy for our time-rich lifestyle. This all points towards developing a time-positive mindset. This involves shifting your perspective from time scarcity to time abundance. You start to see opportunities rather than obstacles, and you believe in your capacity to manage your time effectively.
So, it's not just about the to-do lists and calendars, but about how we think about time itself?
Exactly. It's about consciously choosing where your energy and attention go, and trusting that by doing so consistently, you're creating a life that feels more spacious, more fulfilling, and more uniquely yours. This mindset shift is what truly unlocks the long-term benefits of all the strategies we've discussed. It allows you to move beyond simply managing time to actually mastering it in a way that enriches your entire life.
So, to recap this episode's focus on building a time-rich lifestyle, it's about consistent review and adaptation, which means regularly checking in with your systems and being willing to adjust them as needed. It's about proactive habit formation, using existing routines as anchors for new, time-saving practices. And importantly, it's about celebrating progress, embracing a mindset of continuous improvement rather than perfection, and fostering a time-positive outlook that sees time not as a limited resource to be rationed, but as an abundant ally in creating a life well lived.
You got it, Lisa. And as we wrap up this episode, remember that these habits are the foundation for truly reclaiming your hours and spending them on what truly matters. They're the secret sauce to making the benefits of time mastery last a lifetime.
I'm already thinking about how I'm going to implement my weekly review habit more consistently. It feels like the perfect way to maintain momentum.
That's the spirit. And that leads us perfectly into our final episode, where we'll explore the incredible power of the compounding effect, the ultimate reward for your dedication to time mastery. Next episode, the compounding effect, the true reward of time mastery. Welcome back to Master Your Time. This is our final episode, where we explore the compounding effect and the ultimate reward of time mastery.
It's hard to believe we've reached the end of our series. We've gone from understanding where our time disappears to actively designing a life that honors it. Alex, what exactly do you mean by the compounding effect in this context?
Think about it like investing money. When you invest, your earnings start to generate their own earnings, and over time, your wealth grows exponentially. Time mastery works in a very similar way. When you consistently apply the strategies we've discussed, the benefits don't just add up, they multiply. Each habit reinforces the others, creating a powerful positive cycle.
That's a great analogy. So, it's not just about having a slightly more organized day, it's about a fundamental shift that snowballs over time.
Exactly. Remember when we started, and the idea of even finding an extra hour in your week felt like a huge stretch? By implementing a personal time audit, you discover where your time actually goes. This awareness is the first step. Then, when you use the priority matrix to focus on what truly matters, you're directing your reclaimed time towards high-impact activities.
And then, time blocking gives you the structure. It's not just about knowing what's important, but scheduling it in. I remember thinking how rigid it sounded at first, but seeing how it prevents tasks from slipping feels so empowering.
Precisely, Lisa. Time blocking transforms intention into action. And when you combine that with ruthless elimination, saying no to the distractions and low-value demands, you create even more space. Calendar protection acts as a shield around your valuable focus blocks.
It's like building layers of defense for your most precious resource. And speaking of defense, our focus on meeting reduction was huge for so many of our listeners. Reclaiming those minutes and hours from unproductive meetings frees up enormous potential.
Absolutely. And then we moved into batch processing, which is all about grouping similar tasks to minimize context switching. This reduces the mental overhead and gets you into a flow state more easily. It's a direct application of efficiency principles.
And optimizing transitions. I love this one because it's so practical. It's about making the small movements between tasks, or even between days, as smooth and efficient as possible. It prevents wasted energy and mental friction.
It's the subtle refinements that add up. Then, we intentionally designed our weekends. This wasn't about cramming more in, but about ensuring true recharge and refocus, which, paradoxically, makes your weekdays even more productive.
And that all led us to building a time-rich lifestyle. This is where the habits we've cultivated start to feel less like discipline and more like your natural way of operating. The consistent application of these principles over weeks, months, and years is where the real magic of compounding happens.
Exactly. Initially, you might feel like you're putting in extra effort. You're auditing, you're prioritizing, you're blocking, you're saying no, you're protecting your calendar, you're cutting meetings, you're batching, you're optimizing transitions, and you're intentional about your weekends. It can feel like a lot.
But over time, this becomes your default. You don't have to consciously think about every single step. You've internalized the process. The time you save isn't just incremental, it's exponential. You find you have more time for deep work, for creative projects, for meaningful relationships, for personal growth, for rest, and for simply enjoying life.
And this extra time isn't just spare. It's time that allows you to pursue opportunities you wouldn't have had before. You can learn a new skill, start that passion project, or advance your career in ways that require focused, uninterrupted effort. It's the ultimate dividend of mastering your time.
So, for anyone listening who has been diligently applying these strategies, congratulations. You are experiencing the compounding effect. The hours you've reclaimed are not just in the past, they are actively creating a richer, more fulfilling present and future. For those just starting, remember that consistency is key.
The reward for your consistent effort is a life with less stress, more accomplishment, and greater enjoyment. The time you gain today will pay dividends for years to come, allowing you to live more deliberately and with greater purpose.
It's about shifting from a reactive state to a proactive one, where you are in the driver's seat of your own life, consciously directing your energy and attention towards what truly nourishes you.
This journey has been about empowering you to take back control. The compounding effect means that every small victory, every consistent habit builds upon the last, leading to significant, life-altering results.
It's a powerful testament to the fact that mastering your time isn't just about productivity, it's about creating space for the life you truly want to live. Thank you, Alex, for guiding us through this incredible series.
And thank you, Lisa, for your insightful questions and for helping our listeners connect with these concepts. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the series.